Welcome to this explainer on the live stream that never ended. We're diving deep into a dissection of digital and analog horror today. We're opening up some recovered media files that, honestly, they might just make you rethink every single screen in your home. We're looking at this deeply unsettling phenomenon where the barrier between the digital world and the physical world just completely shatters, because what we're about to explore suggests something absolutely chilling, that the very act of being watched, or even being the watcher, is what actually summons the threat.
I mean, think about it. You're looking at your screen right now, right? You're watching me. You probably feel completely safe, isolated behind the glass of your monitor or your phone. But what happens when the audience you're broadcasting to, or whatever entity is sitting on the other side of that lens, decides to cross over into the real world? That is exactly the dread we're going to unpack with the fateful broadcast of a streamer named Ryan Carter. You're watching him, but who or what was watching back?
Okay, let's dive right into this and track the chronological descent into madness. It happens remarkably fast. Ryan sets out on what seems like a totally innocent 24-hour challenge in an abandoned farmhouse. At the start, just jokes and pizza. He's showing off the locked doors, eating, having a good time with his viewers. Totally normal stuff. But at exactly 11:40 p.m., the atmosphere fundamentally shifts. This innocent broadcast begins to unravel in real time, escalating to a horrifying midnight climax and concluding with a final, chilling message at 5:13 p.m. the next day. Let's look at exactly how that 11:40 p.m. shift began.
Without any warning at all, the chat suddenly floods with this exact, identical message from multiple users. Turn around. Ryan just laughs it off. He tells them, nice try, and turns around to prove the room is completely empty.
But the messages keep coming, over and over. Someone is standing behind you. So Ryan spins around again, and once again the room is completely empty. He delivers this super deadpan reaction to the camera, just brushing off this sudden, highly coordinated flood of warnings as mere trolls trying to ruin his stream. But the entity wasn't just in the chat anymore.
And this brilliantly illustrates the escalation we see in these recovered files. The terror suddenly shifts from digital messages in a chat box to undeniable physical changes in his environment. First, the lights flicker. Then, the internet completely cuts out for 3 long seconds. And when the picture finally returns, the bedroom door directly behind him, a door he explicitly showed the audience was closed earlier, is now wide open.
So Ryan takes a flashlight to investigate the empty bedroom. He finds nothing except his own camera lying on the floor. Now, the impossible problem here is he is currently holding that exact, identical camera in his hand. Ryan blinks, and the extra camera simply vanishes. It's like an impossible glitch in reality, which Ryan just dismisses as exhaustion. But the anomalies are literally just getting started. He walks back into the living room, and a stream donation pops up with this exact warning: don't go to the kitchen. Ryan actually laughs, asking the chat if they're trying to write his script for him. And right on cue, a loud, violent crash echoes from the kitchen down the hall. He is forced to go investigate.
He slowly walks toward the sound, and the physical manifestations are just undeniable at this point. Every single cabinet is wide open. Every chair has been deliberately pulled away from the table. And then, the horrifying sound of heavy breathing. But here's the thing. This breathing isn't coming through his microphone from the stream. It's happening physically, right beside his ear in the dark.
At this exact moment, his live stream chat explodes in absolute panic. A massive wall of text just reading, "It's behind you." But Ryan is completely frozen in terror. He absolutely refuses to turn around, muttering that the chat is just messing with him. He's way too terrified to confirm what might actually be standing at his back. He shakes it off and just bolts back to the living room.
Then comes the most unsettling digital anomaly yet: the camera glitches. Just for a single frame, the thousands of viewers watching at home see Ryan still standing in the kitchen, even though he is visibly already back in the living room. The chat goes absolutely insane trying to warn him, but Ryan can't see the replay. He remains completely oblivious to this impossible, horrifying split in his own reality.
So, the crucial point is, the clock strikes exactly midnight. His phone rings, and the caller ID on the screen simply reads, Ryan Carter. He slowly answers his own phone, and on the other end, he actually hears his own voice breathing heavily. The voice on the phone, his own voice, whispers a single terrifying warning. Don't read the chat, it's watching through them. Immediately, the call disconnects, and on his computer screen, every single username in his active live stream disappears entirely.
Suddenly, the empty chat is completely overwhelmed. A terrifying wave of a single identical account begins spamming this exact phrase over and over and over. "We can see you now." The audience is no longer a group of isolated teenagers at home. The audience has unified into something else entirely. Terrified, Ryan slowly backs away from the camera.
And then we reach the chilling climax of the broadcast. The hallway light switches on entirely by itself. A tall shadow steps into the frame right behind him. The live stream video completely freezes, but the audio continues. It captures one single scream from Ryan, and then just silence. The broadcast actually remains live for another 17 straight hours, showing absolutely nothing to the internet but an empty chair.
At precisely 5:13 p.m. the very next day, with no one having entered the room, the frozen camera tilts upward entirely on its own. A final message appears in the chat. "Thanks for watching. You're next." The stream abruptly ends, and Ryan Carter was literally never seen again.
Let's move to our second recovered file and see how this builds. We're transitioning from the live, highly public digital terror of Ryan's stream to the isolated, buried, recorded analog terror of the Pine Hollow forest. What you'll notice is how modern, public broadcast horror directly parallels the dread isolated, found footage terror. In both cases, the camera itself is the conduit for the entity. Let's take a look at the Pine Hollow recording. The descent in Pine Hollow is a masterclass in sensory escalation. It begins at 8:17 p.m. for three college friends, Ethan, Ryan, and Chloe. They hear this rhythmic, chain-like metallic dragging sound echoing through the empty woods. Fast forward to 1:12 a.m. They're waking up to deliberate footsteps circling their tent and a non-human voice whispering the name Ethan. By the next day, they realize they're trapped in an impossible loop, walking in circles right back to their campsite despite using GPS. And finally, at 3:07 a.m. on their last night, the flashlight illuminates a tall, extremely thin, motionless figure with an unnatural smile, just standing between the trees.
This culminates in a completely chaotic sprint. Ryan, now a different Ryan from our first story, but unfortunately sharing the same tragic fate, breaks down and runs into the dark woods. The microphone captures his heavy breathing and matching footsteps getting closer and closer. He briefly turns the camera to reveal a blurred, distorted, non-human pursuer right behind him. He screams. The camera drops to the forest floor, pointing up at the branches. Hours later, a shadow slowly crosses the abandoned frame, and from off-screen, a voice whispers directly into the microphone. "Still watching?" This brilliantly mirrors the exact theme of the live stream we just analyzed, the implication that the watcher itself is the entity. Ethan was eventually found wandering a highway with total amnesia, but Ryan and Chloe remain missing forever. The authorities called it a hoax, of course, but audio experts confirm that final, non-human whisper was absolutely not added in editing.
Both of these recovered files warn us about the exact same danger. We consume these horrors as entertainment, right? We watch people suffer on screen thinking we're just safe observers. But if these files tell us anything, it's that the connection goes both ways. So, as we end this explainer, I want to leave you with this provocative thought to ponder while you stare at your screen. If something was watching them through the chat,